Don't be contemptuous of your damn sales and marketing. Don't be contemptuous of that with your false romanticism.
Yeah.
Oh, I shouldn't have to sell it. It's a great product in and of itself, and all I'm doing is selling out. Most people don't sell out because they never have the damn opportunity. But if you're not selling out because no one wants what you're doing, that's no moral victory.
Hi, it's Rob Moore here. Now I'm interviewing Jordan Peterson, famous divisive character. You probably know Jordan Peterson for his views on politics, political correctness, gender, feminism, but you have never seen him talk about this before. So in this video, we talk about the art of selling. You can't just have a hobby if you want to run a business. You have to embrace selling. If you're a creative or a creator and you're not making the money you need, you're going to love this advice from Jordan Peterson. So make sure you like this video, hit the subscribe button, and let me know, and don't hold back. What do you think about Jordan Peterson?
Depression is an absolute catastrophe for people, but it's in people in their manic phase that go and rack up $50,000 on credit card bills in one day because they have this brilliant idea that's going to revolutionize the world. And maybe it will, but then you end up with the $50,000 or the $500,000 in rapidly accrued debt.
Yeah.
And you can certainly see that in the explosive phase of development of companies when everyone's hyper enthusiastic. It's like, fair enough. And the enthusiasm also sells, right? Because you it's hard to be a non-enthusiastic salesperson, but then everyone says, well, shouldn't we just be happy all the time? It's like, well,
there's another podcast on that.
Well,
no.
Because the first question is, well, what's the downside to positive emotion? Well, if there's no downside, we should be just as happy as we can be. It's like, no, manic people.
Humanity would be gone in a generation
Yeah.
if there was just happy emotion. Nothing would get done. Nothing would get fixed.
And we'd take all sorts of risks that would be catastrophic. So you think, well, you need people who say no. God, that's painful. You need people who get in the way. You need people who are orderly. And for people who are entrepreneurial and expansive in their temperaments, that's all like, oh my God, those are prison walls. But no, they're not. They're necessary structure and protection. And then again, don't be contemptuous of your damn sales and marketing people because you're bloody lucky that you've got them. And they're rare people. And that's also true of that set of skills that's a set of skills you need to develop if you're a creative person and an artist. Don't be contemptuous of that with your false romanticism. Oh, I shouldn't have to sell it. It's a great product in and of itself, and all I'm doing is selling out. It's like most people don't sell out because they never have the damn opportunity. And so if you can manage the sales, and then you think, well, I'm going to maintain my artistic purity despite the fact that you could manage the sales, well, then you're making an ethical decision. But if you're not selling out because no one wants what you're doing, that's no moral victory.
Yeah. Well, I mean, some of the most successful artists in the world, because I wrote a book called Money and I've studied this in depth, being a previous artist myself. So like commercially I made business work, but commercially I couldn't make artwork. But my business commercially has really benefited from my artistic side.
Right.
And I could say it's a shame I failed commercially in art, but maybe that brought me to where I was. But Damien Hirst, Tracy Emin, Picasso, Warhol, all very commercially savvy artists who you could argue till the cows come home if they're better or worse artists than others. That's subjective, isn't it? But they embraced the commercial side of art, and they will probably go down in history. So,
that's the thing too, is that there isn't a lot of difference, or the boundaries between sales and marketing and communicating are blurry. It's like, well, people are also very skeptical, for example, of advertising and find it intrusive. But if you actually want to buy something, an advertisement is quite helpful. So what people really don't like are badly targeted ads. And the advertising people are trying to solve that problem. But if you have done something brilliant and original and no one knows about it and no one ever will, well, that might even be more of a catastrophe than never having done it at all. Because then you have this thing that's actually of value and you have to suffer with the fact that no one knows about it, right? No, you have to conjoin that ability to produce creatively with the ability to communicate. And sales and marketing is an integral part of that. Well, that's the next complex problem. And and people often who are artists, they're also contemptuous of the commercial world. Well, everything has a price. It's like, well, there's actually some real advantage to everything having a price, because it helps you value your work in a cooperative endeavor.
Yeah.
And it also puts a limitation of sorts on you because you need limitations. It's like, well, if you have an idea, let's say you're creative. You have a whole bunch of ideas. It's like, well, which ideas should you pursue? Well, one constraint you can use is something like, if the idea that I'm interested in has absolutely no commercial viability, then maybe I should put it lower in the priority list. Because you need some mechanism to put things lower in the priority list. One of our rules for product development was that, well, we had to like the idea. It had to be compelling. We wanted it not to do harm to people. We wanted it to help people. We wanted it to be scalable. But then we also decided very early on that we weren't going to make things that wouldn't generate a profit because it was a constraint. It's like, well, if we can't do all those other things and make a profit, it's a bad idea.
Yeah.
So and that's that's helpful if you have too many ideas.
And what people don't understand is profit is required to reinvest back into infrastructure for growth and everything else.
That's the other thing.
Yeah, and I used to be an artist, and I had to buy the cheapest canvases with the cheapest paint and the cheapest tools because I had no money.
Yeah.
You know, Harry's you've just upgraded these cameras, haven't you? Well, if he was, picking fag butts off the floor and going down KFC and licking people's fingers for food, he wouldn't be able to...
Right. No kidding. Well, the other thing, too, is we could get the ethics about this right. It's like, well, is there something wrong with generating money? It's like, well, it depends on what you're going to do with the money. Like if you're going to spend it all on hookers and cocaine, then probably that's reprehensible. But if you're going to...
Well, it still employs the hookers.
Well,
it's still a commercial.
That's right. The hookers might not think it's reprehensible. I suppose neither do the cocaine growers. But, you can argue that there are better and worse things that you could do with your money. If you're guilty about making money, then maybe you should think harder about what the hell you're going to do with the money. Because there's some good things you can do with the money.
And why you feel guilty about making money in the first place and where that comes from.
Yeah, and what's productive about... You say, well, I don't want to be greedy. It's like, okay, don't be greedy. Good rule. But, you have a family, you could support them, you could invest the money in the community. There's all sorts of positive things that you could do with your money if you were very, very thoughtful about how you decided to spend it.
People don't get this, sorry to jump in, people don't get that Mother Teresa was basically a money launderer. They just don't get this. A lot of her money came from Robert Maxwell and, a lot of people that would be reprehensibly evil to most of society. But she would take money, she didn't mind where it came from, and then she would do her work with said money. So,
instead of being guilty about making money, you could think hard about what it is that you want to do with it. And do something useful with it and productive. Yeah, that's and I would say that's also your response. If you happen to be one of those people to whom money is disproportionately flowing, right? Because you've started to become successful and you've hit that acceleration point where you're getting more because you already have, then the ethical requirement isn't to be guilty about that, but to think, okay, how can I use this money which I have been bequeathed in the most responsible manner possible? And that's a perfectly reasonable thing to think. And you can do that with some error.
Hey, so if you like this video, make sure you hit the like button and subscribe. I also have the full, extended, deep dive, uncut version, full interview with Jordan Peterson, so go check that out on my channel.